So one of the things I've always wanted to ask you, because it's personally an ongoing question for me and something I'm consistently observing, which is thought leaders that are predominantly female. Why do you feel like there's such a gap in the market of female thought leaders, female speakers, female authors? And what do you wish more women would do to help fill that gap?
Look, I think there's some of it's internal and some of it's, external. I think there's confirmation bias of people who, clearly like, people that look like them or feel like them or otherwise who are already there. But I think sometimes it's just a matter of putting yourself out there and not having it be perfect. And there's a lot of imposter syndrome. I've seen more honestly with I mean, I would say people with imposter syndrome are usually eminently more qualified than other people who
Mm,
who are very lucky or had good timing and give it, say, believe that they're really smart. So I think it is sort of a confidence, putting yourself out there, just being willing to do it, and it's not right. I think, you know, without getting away, into generalizations, I think
yeah.
sometimes men are willing to jump in without when it's kind of messy and just sort of fake it and until they make it and in some cases that's actually helpful and I see women with like, well, it's not perfect yet, it's not here, and these are vast generalizations, but I do think that has been I think that's been a struggle for some people to just say like, hey, I'm going to do it. Or yes,
Yep.
I charge to speak. Or I'm going to write this article and get it out there. I think a
Yep.
lot of times it's just a flywheel that builds on itself by starting with putting yourself out there.
Yeah, and the data shows that men are biologically driven to do exactly as you said. Like the data shows they're more likely to apply for a position they're not qualified. They're more likely to ask for a raise than women, and it's like the actual act of doing those things. So, what do you wish more women would do? Like, what do you, if you could have advice, if you could give advice to women who are qualified, who have messages to share and value to offer the world, like, what would you ask of them?
Yeah, I think I mean finding a mentor, someone to push you on that. There's a phrase that we are about. I think our company is about 70% women. There's a phrase I hear a lot. I'd say I hear it 9 times from a woman for every one man, which is "if I'm being honest," and then they state their opinion. And I always call
Huh.
people out on that, and I like over and over and saying like, "Don't say that. You just devalued your opinion or made honest." Like, I think it's just a little more of like saying what you mean, putting it out there. But if you listen for that statement, like it happens a lot. So that's one little thing that I've really worked on with people from a development standpoint to try to get these prefaces out of their vocabulary, because I think it already puts them at a disadvantage by using that sort of language.
Fascinating. I was actually just reading a blog about this recently. So it's very poignant that you bring this up because there's all sorts of variations of that.
There's all kinds of prefaces. Yeah, all kinds of prefaces. And look, it comes from probably being shot down in some places
Yep.
or told things. But I think look, both female and male leaders like probably have to do a good job at identifying people, encouraging them to take that risk, go for it, apply for it, and sort of push and push a little more.
There was just a Harvard Business Review story that came out yesterday about how the ultimate factor that's going to change women's inclusion at work is the allyship of men. What are your
There's a
thoughts
lot
on
of
that?
data. I won't get it wrong, but there's a lot of data on people with daughters too, right? And sort of how they look at that differently.
Interesting. Meaning leaders who have
Yeah,
daughters.
leaders who have daughters have a very different perspective around that, and I think can become allies. Are easier to recruit them as allies.
Interesting.